How's it going, everybody, and welcome back to the Real FI Podcast. I'm your host, Patrick McGrath, with my co-host, James Rippion. How's it going today, James?
It's going well today, Patrick. I am excited about today's podcast. We've got a great guest with us, and we've got somebody that Patrick is kind of connected to one way or another. So I'm really excited about this one. We're going to learn a lot about business, real estate. So let's go ahead and just get started. David, why don't you introduce yourself and just tell our listeners a little bit about what you're doing and what you're involved with?
Cool. Hey, Patrick. Hey, James. Nice to be calling in. And I'm in Austin, Texas. Moved here a year ago, which I am very, very thankful for. We get a lot of warm weather during this time of year, which I'm not used to because I grew up in St. Louis and Indianapolis, where it does get pretty cold during the winters. And I'm very happy, probably happier than I've ever been in my entire life, which is awesome. I think maybe what might be relevant on this podcast is to just really quickly say back in 2017, I knew I wanted to retire early. I wanted to go get some passive income. And the guy I was working for had 5 rentals. I was like, why do you have those instead of stocks? And he's like, well, stocks can go up and down, but rentals will always stay constant as long as you manage them correctly. So I went looking for a cash flowing rental. I couldn't find one. And everybody at my real estate meetup that I went to said I need to drive for dollars. And I missed out on what would be an amazing deal because I was just writing down addresses, for like a month. My stomach kind of dropped when I saw this house I had written down previously was getting worked on. So I rushed home and I was like, shoot, somebody else bought it. And then I was like, I ran the math. I was like, it could have been a great first deal for me, but I didn't follow up. And I ended up creating this app for myself that would let me pin the house, follow up with them, send them a postcard, put it on repeat. And the only goal of that was just to help me get my first deal. And which it did, but kind of blew me away. We've got 6,000 users now currently at DealMachine, and that's been an amazing journey over the last 7 years to help close 10,000 deals in 50 states. So it's been pretty awesome and remarkable. And I've basically done 9 deals myself that I kind of use the BRRRR strategy for the most part. Found a really good off-market property, fix it up, rented it out, put the money into the next deal. So that's been my experience with real estate so far. And, since I didn't look at my rentals for the last 3 years because the software ended up being like a bigger opportunity for me, I didn't really pay attention to my rental properties. And I looked back recently and I was like, whoa, like it appreciated $500,000, right? Which was like 50% growth. And so now I've got a portfolio. It's like, hey, it's like worth 1.6 million, but I only paid like 900,000, so it's like, wow. Or no, I got 900,000 in equity, but so I paid the difference, which would be 700,000. Yeah. So
Wow.
that was pretty exciting to see. So now I'm like really pumped. I was like, oh, I wish I had a lot more of those. And so I'm pumped to buy more rental properties.
So tell us a little bit about your application that you built. Like, what is DealMachine? How does it work? And how does an investor really use what you've created to benefit them in their business?
Yeah. So, for decades to find a really great deal, investors have used this strategy where they find a rundown property. And if that seller has something happen in their lives, they probably want to get rid of the house right away. They don't want to pay to fix it up. They don't want to list it with an agent and wait how long that might take. They need the cash like in 30 days. Maybe their parents died and they need to settle debts on their estate, for example. So learning how to find those properties is how you find discounted real estate. And then once you find discounted real estate, there's a lot you can do with it, right? You can make $20,000 by assigning it to an investor who does have money, even if you don't have the cash. So you can get paid lots of cash. And 20,000 is like not even the highest fee I've seen for finding a really great deal for a great price. Or you can buy rentals and get the cash flow and see that appreciation happen over time. There's just really tons of stuff, but based on what I've seen, it's like the fastest way to get rich. It's the fastest way to build wealth and just let time do its thing. So no matter what your strategy is, just finding the great deal is the best thing. And so the very first thing the app did was just let me pin the house, look up who owns it, send a piece of mail, repeat the mail. That's what I was doing, looking for those rundown houses. And of course, it does a lot more too. It can tell you, so you know how much to offer on the property. You can run comps from your mobile app and see what a perfect condition version of that house would be. and then you do, minus 30% minus the repair costs, and that's what you offer. And it can also give you access to like thousands of data points, so you can pull properties that have liens, properties that have not sold on the MLS and that are also owned by a senior owner and maybe have 35% equity or more. So you get those are kind of like some of the three main things that it can help you do, that I'm really proud the app's evolved into today.
That's that's really cool. I think one of my favorite parts of the app, because I have been a DealMachine user for the past couple of years, so this is really awesome to have, you on here, the creator of the app and everything. I think one of my favorite aspects of the app is the fact that it'll do the Google Street View photos.
Yeah.
So you can pull that list and you don't actually have to drive for the dollars.
Right.
Which is
So
actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, you could pull a list and put those actual pictures on there. I don't know if you know this, though. You can actually, like a video game, drive virtually down the street and then add properties that way, which is really great if you have a 9-to-5 job and you only have time to drive for dollars when it's like dark out, right? Because you can't really go and do that. I always think it's best to do it in person, but it's amazing with the technology that you have a pretty good second option.
Yeah, I think I think that's really great. I kind of want to ask, like, how in the hell did you even build an app? Like, I know this has been around for a while, so let's not gloss over that part real quick. Like, you say you built the app to help you out, but like, tell us a little bit briefly on how that process even took place.
Of course. Well, and first and foremost, let me thank you for like using the app. I've heard that it's gotten you at least 2 deals that were pretty good deals for you. How much did you make on this, by the way?
Let's see. One, I bought for 430. It'll be a year coming up next month, and it's going to be worth about 850,000.
Wow.
And I got owner financing. So, and that was a 6-unit building. And then another one I just closed in December, a 7-unit building I bought for 650,000. And that one's going to be worth a little bit more than $1 million in the next couple months after I get everything all.
So David, you got to put Patrick on your website, man. He's an ideal customer right here.
Right. Yeah. And I'd love to take credit. I'm glad you used the app. It's your dedication and hustle that got you there, right? Because you didn't just add one property and say, oh, I'm done, it didn't work. You probably added a lot of properties, right? And then you figured out how to talk to the seller. So props to you for doing that good work. And of course, I love that you were able to use DealMachine as part of it. But yeah, we do have to put you on our website. I do agree. So back to the original question. What was the question you asked me?
How did you build the app?
How did you build an app?
You didn't even did you have background in that, or like?
So I yes, a little bit and no. So the yes of it is I've always really kind of been like into computers. I went to school for computer engineering, which isn't really programming, but they have like 3 programming classes. So I knew like a base level of programming. After college, that's where I learned how to code a bit more. Never a mobile app though. So that's kind of different. And so whenever I was like building this little thing for myself, I tried to put some pieces together and it was like, I wish I could learn faster. So I found someone on Upwork and I was like, hey, dude, I don't know this mobile app language, but this is what I want to do. I don't want you to do it for me. I actually just want you to like show me how to do it. So I think for a price of $3,000, it was a weird job too. He's like, I've literally never had anyone post this type of job on Upwork before. And I was like, yeah, it's okay. We can figure it out though. Just give me some homework assignments. And when I get stuck, like hit me up on a video chat so you can walk me through. And so it saved a lot of time. I knew a little bit about how to do it, which was important to me. And then it didn't look great, but it worked. And so I started doing that. But here's the real thing is like 9 months later, some friends wanted me to put it on. Well, they wanted to use it too. I just went to the meetup and I was like, hey, look, I'm doing this. I got this. I made this little widget. And the person who ran the meetup was like, I'll pay like $1,000 to try any new marketing. So she negotiated down to $700. It was a free app. I just kind of was charging her up front for the mail she could send through it. And so then I was like, holy cow, that was really easy. And I'm not good at selling anything. So it must be like people want this. And I called a good friend of mine up who, I'm just lucky to know we've worked on projects together since high school. and he's always been a better software developer than me. I know, because we've just worked on projects together before. And I was like, you got to be my business partner. We've got to make this a business. You got to just make it easier to understand when people are signing up. And at that moment, I took over the tech, and then I tried to find people that would want to use it, right? So I started going to conferences so that I could meet the people that would possibly want to use it. And so that's how it worked out for me.
That's
Such a cool
incredible. And
story.
it sounds like you've went through a lot of iterations in the
Oh,
process
yeah.
of building this app. Like, tell us about, how your concepts of what you're building might have changed from the first couple of weeks and months to kind of where it's at today.
Absolutely, dude. That's been so fun to learn stuff. I'll tell you that. And not fun to learn stuff either at other times. So, and at first, it was just driving for dollars, like I mentioned to you. Pin the house, look up who owns it, send mail, repeat the mail. Then we added like lots of different postcards, people like that. And then people started telling us what they wanted to build. So we ended up building everything they ever wanted. That hurt us a lot because it made the app more complicated for a brand new person to come in. They got confused about what they should be doing when it did so much stuff. And it's all in the design. It's hard to make something simple. It's hard to make something valuable that is simple. And so that hurt us, right? Because then people weren't having as much success when it was complicated and not clear what to do.
That kind of reminds me of a Henry Ford thing. I think he was asked, like, about his, development of the Model T, and he said to a reporter or something, if I asked people what they wanted, they would ask for a faster horse. So sometimes a customer, might have a conception of what they think they need. And they might want the complications, the bells, the whistles, but, at the end of the day, maybe it's just a simpler concept or the thing that the innovator knows will have a better market landing that ultimately is what should be developed.
Another great example of that, I feel like, is the iPad. Amazing. Nobody would have asked for it, but we all loved it. You know how weird that was when that came out? To me, it was very weird. It seemed like everyone thought that was weird, but that's such an amazing invention.
I agree.
Well, back to DealMachine, which definitely isn't on the level of the iPad, but I think it's been pretty good. Is we kind of spent a lot of time focusing on simplifying what to do, simplifying the sign up process, reducing options that people have, at least up front, until we can prove that they are qualified to potentially have the option to totally design a custom postcard. We don't want a new person to even know we have that because it'll get confused. They don't need to create a custom postcard. They just need to add properties and send mail. That's literally it. The sophistication that more advanced users want was confusing. So we kind of hid some of those things, redesigned some of those things in the effort to make things simple. And I'm happy to say we got our adoption rate, back to where it was when it was a simple app, while also still honoring some of the more advanced people and what they want. And I would say the latest iteration, which took 6 years to get to, is we used to have mobile apps were so hard to build, especially with how talented my business partner is, but we'd never worked on a big team before. So when you start building the team as the company's growing to have 5, 6 engineers, it's not easy to work together. It's very easy to accidentally kind of step on each other's toes. And that, of course, creates bugs. We always want to update the app every 2 weeks because that's how we view software, is it always keeps getting better. It always keeps improving. But we really struggled for a while that would create more bugs every time we touch the software. And so I feel like this year we really, really nailed it. Not on a new feature that the customer is going to see, although we did some of that too. But we got our bugs down from 100 bugs per month to 10 per month. So when you have 15,000 users messing around in there every day, that makes a big difference, to go down from 100 to just 10 per month of new bugs that were being created. So I'm really proud of the team. And I think that's a huge competitive advantage for us right now compared to other options that are available on the phone.
Yeah.
So what does your team look like? What, how big is DealMachine? How many employees do y'all got? Tell us about that.
Yeah. So we've got 30 employees. We've got 6 departments. We got finance, customer support, product, engineering. I've got an administrator, and then we've also got marketing. That's 6. And so the biggest team is there's probably
6 engineers, 1 tester, 1 person who's in charge of engineering. And then the product team helps prioritize what we should do, what the engineering team should work on based on like a cost benefit analysis. Literally every 2 weeks is how often we release new updates. And so he's like, well, if we release this feature, it could drive this much revenue. Or he's like, well, if we focus on really reducing these bugs, that could really solve churn, which is how many people cancel every month. So there's like 10 people right there. And then there's like 10 people in the support and customer success department. And then on the admin side, there's probably like 5 administrative type people, which is like me, the finance team, my executive assistant. So that's like roughly 30 people. So that's how the team's broken down. The marketing team also has like 4 or 5 people on it.
Wow. All right. So we've covered kind of like DealMachine, what it is, where it's at now. So let's rewind the clock back a little bit to when you were looking for your first deal and, created the app to begin with. And let's talk about kind of what your portfolio looks like, because we're a financial independence podcast, mainly focused around real estate. The DealMachine app is a great app to use for real estate. But let's talk about your real estate journey real quick and break that portfolio down for us.
Of course. Yeah. So the very first deal I did, I was looking for a deal to like get as a rental property and fix up. But I felt nervous about doing the transaction, having not ever done a real estate deal. So instead of renting a room for $500, I thought I'll just go buy my own house for $500. Well, not for $500. Well, I'll go buy a house and then rent out the rooms in that house for $500 to my coworkers at the time. So I found a house for like $190,000. It was a 3-2, but some investor had made the basement 2 more bedrooms. So it had 5 bedrooms for the price point of like a 3-bedroom house. So I was able to buy it, which was perfect for what I wanted to do. You know what I mean? And with like a low monthly down first time home buyer loan, I spent like $4,000, put that much down. And then I rented out 3 or 4 of the rooms. So that would mean my income from that was like $1,500 to $2,000 a month, depending on, because I had one person leave and come back. Then my mortgage was like $1,100 per month. And so, I was able to live for free, make a nice spread. And then I quit my job and I was like, I got to do this DealMachine thing full time. So that's how it started. Second deal, again, I was like still looking on the MLS. I actually found one that met the 1% rule. And I was like, are you serious? And is this for real? And so it was. And it had been like an old listing. That's how I found it. Now they had 2 offers when I made my offer. I had the weaker offer, but I still got picked because the other offer, it was the same price. I asked listing price. The other one was bringing 50% down and I was going to put only 25% down. And he picked me because he Googled me and he liked how ambitious I was. He found some YouTube video of like in college, I was talking about leadership training. And I was like, dude, I didn't even know that was out there. But he's like, yeah, me and my wife, we wanted to pick you because we like your vibe and what you're doing. So that was great. And then after that, pretty much everything was like a burr, buy, rent, renovate, refinance, repeat, which is a way to get like a house with 0 down that cash flows that you also have like 25% equity in. So that's what I did, driving for dollars. And to get the money for those deals, I actually, for the first couple, since I had just quit my job, I found a friend with a W-2 income so that he could go get the money and then he could refinance it in his name, but we both owned the property and split the profits from it every month. Even though I brought $0, I just found the great deal. So and we still own those that we did back then today together.
Perfect. So what does your total portfolio in real estate look like right now? I know you mentioned you have about $1.6 million in real estate, but what is that comprised of?
Yeah, it's 9 single family homes. The rents are $150,000. And the net for me last couple of years has been $60,000 on that.
And you're splitting that 60 with your business partner?
No, I only have like a few houses with I think 3 houses with him. The rest are just all mine. But yeah, his are grouped in there as well.
Nice. I mean, that's a great little portfolio.
Yeah.
To be able to build up in a short period of time. Also, while you're, building this side hustle that actually turns into your main hustle. So this is kind of cool because you started off going after real estate because you knew you didn't want to work, your whole life, um, and become financially free. And because of that, you create this
Hmm.
app as like a side thing, and it actually becomes the main thing.
Yeah.
And now that you've built that up, you're kind of like, hey, let's shift back to the real estate that got me started with all of this.
Yeah, dude. Cause I didn't look at it for a while and I was like, this performed really well. I want to do more of that.
So that's freaking awesome. All right, so you're it's about 60K a year, bringing in from the real estate. Now, you mentioned a couple numbers earlier, and I'm going to ask about them.
Hmm.
So, you have 6,000 plus paid subscription members on
Hmm.
a monthly basis,
Hmm.
and I know that entry level is between 25 and $50 a month. So you
Oh,
guys are
59 is the
grossing
lowest. Yeah. It's like 59 to $300 per month.
59. Okay, so I mean, you guys are basically grossing 300 plus thousand a month. Just
Yeah.
like if everybody was just baseline the $60, you know.
Yeah. So I'll say I got my Ferrari when we hit $100 million per month for the first time. So we've hit that milestone, which was really exciting.
That's absolutely amazing. So it's just
But there's a
crazy
lot
that
of expenses that go with that too. In fact, we have toyed around with how much profit there is. I actually overhired. I had hired 50 employees. So, our sequence went like 6 million, 9 million, 12 million from like 2020, 21. No, I was like 2019, 2020, 2021. But at that time, our profit had gone from 3 million, 1.5 million to like 500,000, right? So 500,000 profit on 12 million in revenue. That's pretty tight. And so, I thought building good product was what actually drove our business. Not the case. I just got really lucky that people talked about it. There was a good product, right? But building more good product wasn't going to make more people talk about it. So I really raised our expenses because I didn't understand what the growth lever was for our business. And so I was then really nervous of like, well, am I gonna have to like fire everybody to fix this mistake? That feels like it would ruin my culture and I would be a terrible person, especially now that my Ferrari is parked in a climate controlled garage. I mean, that'd really make me feel like an asshole. So I didn't actually fire anybody, but just kind of through some natural attrition, our team kind of right sized itself. And one reason I think that is because we are very transparent with our finances. In fact, we just had our monthly all hands meeting with our team. So like everybody, including the customer support person, you know, everybody knows exactly to the dollar what dollars going where, how much I make, how much my partner makes. So we're always very transparent. And I feel like that enables people to make good decisions that they wouldn't be able to make without, that information. So I assume that some people saw, oh, we overhired a little bit. So I'm going to go and leave and find another job. And so that worked out really well, not having to let anyone go.
So where did you kind of come up with the concept to be so transparent with your financials to your employees and those people working in your business? Because some
Yeah.
people might look at that and think like I'm giving away, showing too much of my cards to my employees, and maybe people would say they don't deserve to know that kind of information. But what did
Yeah.
you come across in your path to kind of make you think that was the right path to take for your business management?
I worked for a small business that I loved and learned so much from previously, but the one of the leaders in that company and the way they ran their company was pretty secretive. And so even though it was kind of like a small company, I felt like it's like, dude, we're not dumb. We know you make, like a lot of money. And by hiding that, it makes me just distrust you a little bit. Or when somebody got let go, it was like, whoa, I'm kind of like scared. Will my job be eliminated? Because it doesn't feel like there's a lot of trust and communication that goes on here. And so I use that experience in my own company to try to just do the opposite. I'll tell you everything that's going on. Anytime somebody gets let go, I'll be totally honest about almost to the point where my employees are like, why do you need to tell us, that this person had 3 conversations with their manager about the performance, and it was an ongoing discussion for 2 months, but just ended up not being the right fit. Don't you think that's a little too much to share? But the thing is, though, if every time somebody leaves the company, if they did have 3 conversations over 2 months, hopefully it puts you at ease so that you're not worried about your job when that happens, wasting a bunch of your mental energy, wasting company time. So that's one place where I get that inspiration from. And there was one more point I was going to make. I'm trying to remember what it was. Maybe I'll come back to it if I remember.
You're good. No, I think that's extremely important, being transparent. I think people
I remember what I was going to say now.
Go for it.
Dude, I got this feedback from my number 2 at my company. When I got the Ferrari, I never posted it. I was very nervous about what people would think. And of course I was stressed when we were like overhired. But like a year after that, I kind of just relaxed. I was like, I'm going to post it. I'm going to have some fun. I actually went with one of our affiliate partners who has a Ferrari over to like this rally, which is it's like where a group of people with cool cars go drive from one place to another over like 6 days. You all stay at the same hotel and just like have a bunch of fun. So I did that. I posted about it. My number 2 was like, dude, you just seem so happy. And that makes me relax. That makes me very relaxed at my job, seeing you happy. And I was like, that's the opposite thing I thought would happen. I thought you'd resent me for having this really nice car, but it makes you really happy that I'm just like, having a good time, sharing the good stuff. I always try to share a helpful story if there's like a flash, if I'm showing the car or something. And so that was like a good takeaway. And it's like, if you have the right people on the team and you treat them well and you pay them fairly, and you're transparent, I think that's a big perk. Because this guy, he's had a long career, and he just said, this is like my favorite place that I've ever worked, where I feel the most comfortable and the most trust. And so, I think if you have the right people, they'll know, because you're the entrepreneur, you took the risk, therefore you deserve, that financial reward. And so I don't think it's been a problem.
Yeah. And I mean, what I think is really cool is being transparent like that and providing that culture, not only at your company, but you are allowing others to do the same, because they're building businesses. I mean, let's be honest, your app is helping everyday people build a business, whether that is a wholesaling business with a team, because there is the teams there for driving for dollars, whether that is, an investor that's looking to flip houses on their own, or someone that's looking for their first property, or someone like me who's targeting, small multifamilies, building a business, and that culture from your company is coming from the top down, but that's also showing everybody that's utilizing, your product and your app too, that, hey, we all got in this for kind of the same thing, to become financially free. And, that's the level that you're at now. That's the level that other people are trying to get to too. So, put that kind of spin on it sometimes, if that makes sense.
Oh man, I always thought that was so cool that our customers are trying to build businesses and improve their lives, because that's exactly what I was trying to do for a long, and still am, right? It's the coolest type of customer that we get to serve. And I'm super thankful for that every day.
Yeah. Do you have an idea? Do you have any stats for people out there? Like, how many people that sign up actually close a deal? Now, I know you have to go on there and follow the offer, submitted an offer, closed deal type of thing. So some of those analytics probably aren't like 100% accurate, but I'm sure you have a decent idea by how many people are staying on it for a next period of time.
15% of people's deals come from the first postcard. So that means if you only reach out once, or you only send one postcard, that means you're missing out on 85 of your potential deals. And so if you send it 5 times, you're still missing out on 50% of the deals that you could get. You need to really send it like 10 times, over 10 months or so. And so those are some helpful stats. Other helpful stats when you're driving for dollars. Of course, we do other things. but you need to add like 300 to 1,000 rundown houses to get a deal, depending on how like expensive your market is. So like in a cheap market, 300, hit them 10 times. In an expensive market, you know, add 1,000 rundown houses, hit them 10 times. The thing is, that's much, 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 much less than you would if you were mailing like a big absentee owner list or something to get a deal. So those numbers are going to work out. You're going to save a lot of money on marketing. But those are some helpful numbers and targets that somebody listening could apply, I think.
I think, that summarizes pretty much anything you can get into. I don't know how many times Patrick and I have got to talk to somebody who says consistency is literally key to any business you're trying to do. When you're trying to make money, trying to sell something, trying to generate revenue, you just got to be consistent and stick with it and let it play out. But with regards to, the app, and when you've got a new user that comes on, why don't you walk us through how the process works with all the steps to get that user onboarded onto DealMachine and what they're doing as they're going through that process, and then kind of what that looks like on the user's end with your client, and then also on the seller, the property owner's end.
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, yeah, when they sign up, you enter your name, phone, email, and then what you do is you input where you live. And you send yourself like a free postcard so you can see what that looks like. It from DealMachine gets sent to your place. And then you also maybe do like a test virtual drive for dollars. So you could see like how that works and everything.
Patrick, do you have some of those postcards right there? Can you hold them up? Because might as well use them for demonstration for the video.
I've got
Ooh, that one's shiny.
There's one like this.
So
is that your deal that you closed?
The dot ones. These are not. These are the return to sender ones, which one of the cool things is after you get, I think, like one or two of these back, it automatically takes them off of your list.
It does.
So that's pretty cool. You're not, wasting.
You're not wasting money. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Because when I'm doing my own mailers, because I got my own system for doing mailers. I don't use DealMachine. After this conversation, that story's probably going to change. But when I get the return to sender mail slips, I got to go into my damn, Google sheet, find the person, delete it myself. Sometimes I'm forgetting, so now I'm sending like duplicates to the same people who are pissed off for having received it or just not receiving it in the first place. So I think that's an awesome feature.
Thanks. You can also have that list that you can actually skip trace then and get their phone numbers, kind of go a step deeper to find out who owns the property if they do get returned to you, because they're getting returned to you because the county has incorrect mail information, right? So that means other investors that might be contacting that house also getting returned mail. So by taking the extra step to skip trace it, call them, text them, email them, that could give you an advantage where other investors aren't doing that.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that one. I have been saving all of the ones that come back to skip trace and see if I could find their actual address, but I didn't even think about going the extra step on that and like emailing and calling.
Well,
go right ahead.
Yeah, emailing and calling. So you can do that with your own phone. But yeah, definitely do that. I was going to ask you, because the deals you did were multi-family, right?
Yes.
Can I ask you that? Can I flip the podcast around and ask you about that? Why?
Of course.
Because I'm genuinely curious. I've never done a multifamily deal before. Does it work just the same? You just saw it was run down. You sent them a postcard?
Actually, so I'll break down my strategy. I was always looking for like 2 to 4 unit properties, or maybe like up to 10 or 15. So I didn't use the DealMachine app. I went on the list source and I bought a list specifically for, duplexes and up multifamilies in my target county. And then I went ahead and I inputted all of those into DealMachine so I could look at it and go, oh, this one sold in the last 5 years, because you get all that data is there. And then all of a sudden I have 300 or 400 properties that I want to start sending out postcards to. But it worked the exact same way. Like I send mine every 2 weeks. They go out, and I have them set for six times. And then I stop for a month or two, and then I just restart the whole thing again.
Cool.
And that's kind of how it started. But it's the same conversation. Someone calls, hey, I got your postcard. and then I start talking with them. What's the address? I'm looking it up on my computer, same type of thing. But I just felt like for the multifamilies, I wasn't competing with other people, other wholesalers trying to do flips and different things like that. And I'm a buy and hold investor. So I wasn't trying to, make a finder's fee or anything like that. And that
Yeah.
kind of gave me, um, I think, an edge when I finally got these people on the phone. Cause I was like, look, I'm not one of those guys that just going to get you under contract and then try to sell it to somebody else. I live in the community. I invest in the community. I'm the guy that's going to buy it. I'm the guy that's going to hold it. So that's
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
how it's mine.
Yeah. No, I mean, I love wholesalers. A lot of people do wholesaling on our company. I think it's really valuable. I think if you're the one doing that, of course, say that, and that's going to stand out. Everybody can find their own thing to stand out too, just in case you're a wholesaler listening to this. But I'm curious, when you value that property, were they savvy enough to know that they were they trying to value it based on like the cap rate, for example?
No, nope.
They're more mom and pop, just they were kind of like, oh, it's run down. So I mean,
Mom and pop, and
yeah.
they gave me their idea of what they were looking to pay or what they were looking to get, and I worked backwards. And on both of those deals, I was able to get seller financing. So
Shoot.
one I got 85% seller financing, 30-year amortization, 4% interest. And then the other one I got I
4%
got this
interest.
4%. Yep.
Damn.
Yeah. And then the other one I got 20, they held 20%. So they held the down payment for me at 5% interest for 3 years. Um, so yeah, and both of them
Damn.
were multifamily. So
So how did you pitch that? Were you like, hey, look, if you do this, instead of 800,000, you're going to get 2 million over 30 years. Is that kind of how you did it?
kind of, yeah. So all of my offers only consist of a seller financing option. So I don't even give them like not a seller financing option.
Oh, cool.
'Cause
Yeah.
I'm targeting specific people that have owned the properties more than 10 years plus.
Yeah.
So when I finally get someone, they have enough equity usually, and they're savvy enough to understand, why that is.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to buy properties that need work. So it's like, hey, we can both agree that this place needs 100 grand worth of work. Instead of me putting that down on the property, why don't you hold the 100 grand as a note, and then I'm going to put this money into the property. So if I don't pay you, you're going to have a property that's worth more. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like a win-win for everybody. But that's what I
Yeah.
did on the last one. Um, they wanted $100,000 more than I was willing to pay. So I
Yeah.
said, hey, look, if you hold it for 5 years, that'll get you that 100,000.
That's
And we
amazing.
were able to put the deal
I
together
need to
like that.
do that. I'm going to do that this year.
Yeah, and what I really like, which I haven't started doing yet, is I saw that the campaigns now, you guys offered larger postcards.
We do.
So
They're big too. Wait, I think it's 16 by 9. So like
they're
Okay.
16
like
inches
I
is a
haven't I
big
haven't
size.
started using them yet.
They're
Yeah,
gonna
I
have to
haven't started
unroll
using
that,
them.
man. I like it.
Yeah, it gets your attention. That's for sure.
So I started a secondary list of my list. So I'm sending everybody the smaller ones, and then I have like the properties that I really, really want. I'm gonna start a campaign where the postcards are just gonna get bigger and bigger as they go out.
I love it. I love it. I've never heard somebody doing the sequence size like that before.
That's what I want. I mean, if we're like some of these properties are like 20 unit property, a couple $1 million properties. Like if I can't afford to spend, $4 or $5 every 2 weeks to send out a postcard, at least even if they call me to tell me that they want me to stop sending them because they're like clogging up their mailbox or whatever, like hey, I got them on the phone at least.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I love it.
Hmm.
So I think that's pretty cool. I was listening to the Bigger Pockets podcast one time, and there was ones where you could send out gifts, and
Mm-hmm.
that might be cool too if you could offer like a gift box with like certified mail where someone has to sign for it or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. Like that could be like a real premium one for like those one properties.
Dude, I think you're right. So we have the ballpoint letter. It's like a robot holding a pen.
And we just offered the ability to order door hangers when you're driving. And
Those are really
I
cool.
think that the gift option that you have to sign for, dude, that's the amazing part about that is they got it
They got it
and
a
they're gonna
hundred
open it.
percent.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like that would be, and like people would pay for that because it's like you could offer to do it at the end of your campaign or whatever because like they got all the other stuff. Um, so that would be real interesting. One of my biggest things is when I tell people that I use the app, um, they always ask me, what does the postcard say? And I'm like, I use the sample. You just pick, you have like 9 of
Yeah.
them. I just pick one that I like, maybe change the color, which
Right.
I like blue because it's non-threatening, and
It is builds. It's like the color of trust.
exactly. And all I do is, me personally, I made my contact information. I use my wife's name instead of my name because I feel like
Mm-hmm.
having a woman's name on there, guys would be more likely to call.
I
So
think you're right. Just people in general, like talking with a woman on the phone. I think there's actual data that the woman's voice is always less intimidating, and they're always good at killing it on cold calling and sales like that.
Patrick, are they ever thrown off when Patrick answers the phone, not your wife, or does that even, are they even like questioning that at all?
they always say, "Hello, Danielle," and I always go, "Oh, this is Patrick, her husband. She's busy right now. How can I help you?"
Love it.
Done.
And then I got the postcard in the mail. I'd be like, "Oh, no problem." I was like, "We're a team. We work together. Let me just take some information down." Boom. It's already started. They don't need by the end of the conversation, they don't even remember that they were calling Danielle.
Well, I know me, David, and all our listeners are going to be stealing that tip because
Mm-hmm.
that's a great.
Absolutely.
Hey, go for it. I've been telling everybody, like seriously, like it is so easy. I know I have at least two other people. One person last year asked me about it. They started using DealMachine, started sending out postcards. They've closed 2 deals in the last 6 months and rentals. Like these are just like rental people. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, look, find your own deals. Like you don't have to spend that much money. I think I probably spent $2,000 and got 2 off-market deals with seller financing
Dude.
that have probably made me close to, let's say, $600,000
Yeah, it sounds like it.
for 2 grand.
Yeah.
Like you can't beat that.
And for the
Uh,
people listening,
at
you cannot be so short-sighted to have that $2,000 stop you from taking advantage of these kinds of applications, technology, marketing avenues. They're going to find you your deal and net you, in Patrick's case, $600,000 on the back end. Paying $2,000 for 600 just seems like a stupid, easy decision to make mathematically. So you just can't be afraid of that upfront cost by any means.
Right.
Exactly. So let's get into some numbers and some goals.
Mm-hmm.
So like now that you are back on your real estate journey a little bit, you said you want to do some multifamily, maybe you want to buy some more properties, and then some goals, some numbers for the business. So
Mm-hmm.
like what is your goal for real estate? Like how many units do you think you want? And then what is your goal to get the user base up for the DealMachine app?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I self-manage my rentals, and I love doing that because it just keeps me in the dirt. It keeps me connected to what and how you do this and what real problems are and how you solve them. So I like that aspect of it. I also don't really think it takes that much time, at least in my case, where these are BRRRR deals. They're new construction on the inside because of that. So virtually they should be kind of like, maintenance free for like 10 years. And then I get to figure out how to select a tenant. What happens when you select it wrong? I will never forget it. It's a lesson I know. And it's like, I'll never forget that. So knowing how to do it keeps me stress free. I think though, when I get to 20 units, because I have 9, I was like, if I had 20 units, that would push my income to over like 300,000 top line, over 100,000 net if I do the same type of deals. And I'm like, okay, that feels like the time when it could be worth like
getting somebody to do like some part-time management, maybe for a flat fee. But I want to do them all in Indianapolis. And so that's my goal this year, is to be at 20 units and to hit those numbers, because that would be really exciting. And I think the next step.
So after this conversation, do you think you're going to pursue more single families, or, give Patrick's strategy with DealMachine a shot and see if he can lock down some multifamilies?
I'm definitely curious about Patrick's strategy. I'm definitely curious about that. What's your average rental unit compared to? So I kind of also have this thing about self-managing. And so I feel like it would have to be a special case in Indiana. So my cheapest house is like $1,200 a month. And so I've always been like, hey, if I could have one house that rents for $2,000, or if I could have 4 units that rent for $500 a piece, which also equals $2,000, which one's going to be easier to manage? And it's like 4 people versus 1. I'm going to pick the single family house every time. And so I think for me, when I'm managing myself, I'd be very interested in a 4 unit if each unit could rent for more than $1,000. So I think just to keep it easy to manage and worth it for it's like each conversation is worth $1,000 a month, instead of 4 conversations, for $2,000 versus 1 conversation for $2,000. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, my average rental is bringing in $1,300 a month.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, I would definitely be interested in those kind of 4 units.
And I self-manage, and we have 30 units right
really
now.
And you self-manage with 30?
Yeah, because I do the same thing. We burr, but we do multifamily burrs. So I'm going in and fixing everything up, like you said. If you're going in and you're fixing everything up and getting rid of a lot of those maintenance issues up front, and you're screening and placing good tenants that make the right amount of money, can pay their bills, good credit, good jobs, all of that, you're setting yourself up for success. I do not. If someone wanted, my gross is about 40 grand a month.
Okay.
On that. Okay. So do I have $2,500 to $3,000 a month worth of problem phone calls? No, I don't. So it's kind of at that spot where I'm thinking, like, when I hit 40 or 50 units, that's probably where I'm going to do that. But I'm probably going to create my own property management company, hire someone to manage my properties, and then put that out there for other people, but mainly as a deal source. Like, hey, let me go start managing these people's properties, and then I'll buy them from them on turnovers and things like that.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good idea.
It's kind of my plan. But I mean, I think more people out there could and should self-manage if they've got it in for them. But I look at and the price per unit, for me to find a house in my area, a 3-bedroom, 1-bedroom townhouse house, even in crappy shape, 200,000 to 250,000. But I'm buying all of my rental units less than 100, between 85 and 100,000 a unit. So, you kind of have that cost analysis. So, all right, let's get into. So, what is the goal for your user base? For the app. What's the goal?
I don't have a goal for the user base. I think one thing that I learned on the software side is the way you value a software company is traditionally a 10x the top line revenue. So that gets quite a high valuation. And that's why I maximize growth rather than profit. But I think that because a lot of the people who sign up for DealMachine are beginners and they need more than what the app can actually provide them, they actually will churn out more than what a software company was. So we wouldn't get that valuation. So that's the wrong thing to optimize. We need to get back to a more profitable place. And then what I'm really pumped about doing is helping them get the other things they need to get done in order to be successful. And so I started a podcast not too long ago called the DealMachine Real Estate Investing Podcast. And it covers somebody who hasn't done a deal before, everything that you need to know to do that. And I've got a co-host, which I've loved. We haven't done any guests yet, but I've loved the dynamic of the 3 of us here. So I'm kind of
very excited to be a part of this and what that could mean for our podcast if we were to bring on some guests. So that's really exciting. We definitely need to get matching hats. I love your hats, by the way.
I'll send you
Decide,
one.
commit, take action.
That's right.
Those are things I believe in. So along the lines of that, also, there's going to be a more community aspect to DealMachine. There's currently no mobile-based forums for real estate investing, and so I'm very excited to bring that into the mix too. That way, we can provide value to somebody even before they're ready for an app. Because like I've also been posting on social media about real estate. Tons of friends. When I say tons, like I guess like 30. Like a lot of friends who followed me, didn't even know I was interested in real estate, started reaching out to me, taking me to dinner, being like, hey, what do you think of this deal? And so I'm like really pumped. Like a lot of people can have their lives changed by real estate, and there's a lot out there. So with my content, my goal was to like give them more of that info that they need to like do deals, not to like sell more DealMachine. But those three things are three things I am pumped about to help people be more successful. And it's been a ton of fun too, to just have that kind of interaction. I'm like not just behind my computer desk, and I'm communicating a lot more one-on-one with people who are interested in real estate. And that's been a ton of fun.
So, with what you're doing every day, does it feel like work, or does it feel like you're having a great time building?
Yeah, no, it feels like I'm having a great time building. And I honestly mean that when I said earlier that I've been the happiest that I've ever been. Part of that's because of like, I just love where I'm at right now. But the reason why I could move here is because of the business, right? Like that's the whole point of the business, is to have the freedom to go like do what you want. Take 10 friends on an African safari, go move to Austin, Texas. And so that's something the business has provided me. And I enjoy that. But also like what I'm doing is very enjoyable.
I wanted to ask you, is the reason you moved to Austin because of DealMachine, or was there something else
No,
taking you to Texas?
DealMachine allowed me to move here. I moved here because, dude, it's 70 and sunny outside, and it is in Indianapolis right now, probably 30 and cloudy. So I was here on a couple of trips, just stayed for 6 weeks to try it out. Then I stayed for 7 months, and then I just got a year lease. And my house in Indianapolis just went under contract today. So I'm making the move official, but I've been here for like a year.
Okay. Perfect.
But also,
I know
man,
Austin is like a really great tech hub too. I mean, there's a lot of businesses going there, so it's a thriving
yeah.
city.
Well, in Indianapolis, I struggled to find peers who were my age that had a company my size, especially a software company. And so here, I looked on the Inc. 5000 list and invited like 40 people, and like 19 showed up to a founders dinner that I had planned. They didn't even know who I was. That was another factor of why, like, I was like, dude, there's just a lot of entrepreneurs here. And there's also a lot of real estate investors here as well, because in Texas, it's just a great real estate investing state. And so, I mean, both of those aspects definitely played into it being an enjoyable place for me. The other thing is there's so many people moving here. I'm 33, I'm single. And one thing I noticed is in the Midwest, everyone is not single when they're 33. So it's just been better for, not that like dating's even a top priority, but I think people are just way more open here because they all moved here from places like California, New York, all these really interesting places to live here. And then they're open and wanting to be inclusive and make friends, because literally everybody just came here. So that's like a big aspect to the city that I've loved, is just every night I'm out of my apartment, I'm playing sand volleyball, I'm wake surfing, or I'm taking a storytelling class. I've made it a mission to go out, but also there's just a lot of people that also go out every night to do something fun other than just drinking. There's a lot of stuff to do here.
Love it.
I think that is extremely important, that whole little build up and story right there around what it is that you did, because you put yourself in a place that you wanted to be, but it sounds like you put yourself in a place that you need to be as well to help you continue to grow. You kind of made yourself the big fish in the little pond back home.
Yeah.
Like you said, there wasn't anyone your age with a company your size that you could relate to. And then you put yourself in an area that you want to be and find out that you need to be. And there's people at your level doing more than you.
Way beyond my level. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got people to like also help you get to the next level and be having those conversations that you just weren't having on a daily basis
Mm-hmm.
to help you ultimately grow as a person, as a business, entrepreneur, and just better in life in general. So
Yeah,
that
it's an
that's really
inspiring place.
exciting.
Thanks. Yeah, I agree with your take on that.
Yeah, and I love hearing that though, because these are the types of conversations that we want other people that are listening to be having, or things to be thinking about, like where I'm at right now currently. Is this where I want to be? Is this where I need to be? Is there a place that better suits where I'm at? A lot of people are like, hey, I can't invest in the area that I live in, but I don't feel comfortable doing out of state investing. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
well, why don't you go move to a place that you want to go
Yeah.
invest at? That's one of the things that I had to do. I didn't move out of state, but I moved an hour away from where I lived because there was more investment opportunity.
I moved.
Really?
I totally relocated myself for business opportunity and to get more involved with real estate.
Really?
And people, a lot of people bitch and complain about current life circumstances, and they don't want to take that uncomfortable action to put themselves where they need to be. And frankly, you're going to get what you get out of not making that decision. And
Mm-hmm.
there's going to be other people who really take the leap and the risk. So you get the rewards from that.
Yeah. I would say 90% of people live where they live because they haven't even thought about it. I was definitely guilty of that. But it's like, well, why do most people live where they live? It's either where they grew up or, they took a job that took them there. But the place that they lived wasn't the primary thought, and your environment really just has such a big impact on you.
Absolutely. So,
Exactly.
Where
so
did you
David,
move, by the way, from where to where?
so I moved from Patrick's area, Frederick, Maryland, down to Fayetteville, Fort Bragg area, North Carolina, to be just more involved with real estate opportunities that we have down here. So we've been buying rentals down here. Also have some up in Maryland, but it's been a great transition so far. My wife and I, we've loved the move, change of scenery, so it's been great.
Now, how did you go about picking that market? Was
Uh,
there an
yeah,
analysis that you did?
so we already owned rental down here, and the mother of my wife, my mother-in-law, she owned a brokerage down here as well. So I decided
Cool.
to leave my former profession in law. Also,
Wow, really?
yeah, tangentially still doing some real estate law, business law, but left that for the most part. Came down here, started doing real estate broker work, so selling real estate, working with investors, building a property management business, and doing all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it was nerve wracking as hell for sure, because you come down here, you've left the W-2 income, you eat what you kill at this point, so you better make it or break it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a great transition, and I learned so much along the way. And for the next businesses that I start, a lot of lessons to be applied.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to you, David, I know our listeners want to know, what motivates you, man? Like, why are you picking up everything, moving to Austin? Why are you spending all this time on DealMachine? Why are you trying to acquire more real estate? What's really motivating you to build and acquire at such a pace that you are doing?
Yeah. Well, I'm a person who's like loves getting better at things. That's one thing I've realized about myself. When I moved to Austin, I noticed there's a lake right outside, and all these people do this wake surfing thing. And so I instead of like just going on one of those boats socially, like I started taking actual lessons, and because I like wanted to like do this trick, I like wanted to learn how to do it well, and then I wanted to learn how to do this trick. And so I really love learning and getting better. And so now it's a game of like in a very enjoyable process to be challenged, to learn, to get better for the sake of just like learning and getting better. I mean, I like stuff too, right? Like I obviously told you I've got a dream car that I always wanted for a long time, and I've loved every minute of it. It's been 2 years. I think having it now versus when I'm 60 is a completely different experience. I'm very thankful that I get to have it now, and I enjoy that. So, but that's that's like one of the reasons why I started. It's no longer the reason, right? But I do like the financial reward of that too. And that's obviously what got me super pumped to go get more rental properties after I looked at what they did for the past 4 years. So I would say those are the two things that really bring me a lot of happiness.
So Curious, what color is your Ferrari?
White with black wheels.
Slick. Love it.
Yeah.
Very nice. Not red. So you went
Yeah, I didn't want to do the red. I didn't even get the latest version. So 3 years before I got it, I was dating this different girl, like two girlfriends ago. And we went to this car show. I knew nothing about these things, but she saw one and she was like a big thinker herself. And she was like, couldn't you see us, riding in that thing? And of course, my first reaction was like, no, because it's a Ferrari and really expensive. But funny enough, then I just learned a little bit about it, started researching it. Mine is like a 2013, but I wanted that one because it was like before turbochargers, before electrification. It was like the last one where they didn't have all that stuff, and that made it special. And so I wasn't dating the girl anymore, but I did get the car. And that's why it's like, and it was tied to the accomplishment too. So it means so much more than just like being a random car, and so for for those reasons, I like it. And I forget what I was even answering there, but hopefully that answered your
I
question.
gotta ask, what'd you pay for the car?
I paid $217. And what was funny was, I think now it's worth 300. It's not a car that's super limited edition. I think there's 6,000 of these 458 Spiders that were made from 2010 to 2013, but it went up because of COVID stuff, car shortages. And then also it had like a bit of a resurgence, I think, with the newer versions having just more turbo chargers and, newer technology where they had to like reduce the sound for European guidelines, reduce the emissions, and therefore reduce the engine size and add turbos. So I think that for a lot of enthusiasts, it became like a attractive car.
That's really cool. What a really, really, really great story to see it come like full swing, from doing it for financial freedom to achieving somewhat of that to getting your dream car all by 33. You still have a ways to go. And with that ways to go, I would really like to know, what obstacles do you see that you're facing in pursuit of these goals and these challenges, that you just let everybody know that you've got going
Dude,
on?
In full transparency, which is always where I'm trying to go, we grew a company that does over $10 million without knowing how to market it. So now the last year has been a journey where I've been getting better at marketing. It's definitely been a scary time because there's a lot of people that I feel like they depend on me, right? To make sure the company keeps growing. But we did get so lucky that we really just grew out of the word of mouth and it being a good product at the right time. But eventually, if you want to grow a real company, marketing is an important part of your company. So we've been building that. That will continue to be an area of growth for us, and also provide challenges, right? That I'm facing every day. I took a challenge, I was like, shoot, people need more than just the app to do deals. How do I do this? And I took a challenge to post on social media 16 times per day across 4 different platforms. So that's like, it's 4 posts, copied 4 different places. And I'm not used to being bad at things, but I was just really bad, like there wasn't a lot of engaged. There was like 200 views, like 1 comment maybe. And it still happens sometimes, but I think I finally learned enough that I'm getting a little bit better. But for like 2 months there, dude, I was feeling pretty bad about myself. I was like, I guess I'm a fraud. It's like I have this big company, but I don't know how to like get a social media view where I'm really trying to help people. Like, what the heck? And so, that's a recent challenge that I could tell you I've had.
I think that is that's great because you're still putting yourself out there. The obstacle that you're facing now is the same stuff that people with no money have.
Yeah.
Is getting seen on these social media platforms.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people now kind of put the cart before the horse. They try to figure out their marketing plan before they have their product the way that they need to be.
Mm-hmm.
So man, this podcast has been absolutely fantastic. I think this puts us in a perfect time to get to our last segment of the show that James and I like to call the big four.
Big four.
James, take it away.
All right, David, give it to us, man. I want you to tell us what something that you do, daily business, whatever, personal life, that kind of feels like a financial independence hack, something like a cheat code that really helps your financial position.
Finding discounted real estate is the fastest way to build financial independence. Like, where else can you go have a conversation or spend $2,000 and then make $20,000 or $600,000 over 2 years, 3 years? I really don't know many other places like that. So not only is it good for building up cash if you don't have it, doing a strategy called wholesaling, but it's also a great way to park some of your money and forget about it for 5 years and come back and look, there's $500,000 in equity that you didn't even know about. Meantime, you also got $250,000 in cash flow, right? So it's like, damn, I don't know a better strategy. I love this business. It's awesome.
Don't reinvent the wheel, guys. The strategy is there. It's for the taking. You just got to take action.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's a proven business model. If you put in the work, it will work.
It works if you work it. Love it. All right. This next one we call resources. So, are there any books, podcasts, or people that have shaped your financial independence, business, real estate journey? Like, let the people know what's one or two on there that our listeners would benefit from learning about.
Yeah, here's 3 books. So we got the 75 Hard. And whenever I was feeling a little bit of anxiety from overhiring and not knowing what to do next, I just got really serious about working out twice a day, eating a diet, reading a book, putting good media in my brain every day. I still, this is like a 75-day challenge if you don't know. So check out that. And then followed up with this for some inspiration. Just keep going, right? David Goggins is a force of nature. And so that was really fun to read. Business-wise, oh, dude, I gotta tell you this. We talked about business a lot. This could be business one, but living in a new city, you know, I've done a ton of stuff to make friends, and I came across this book. The author Nick Gray actually lives in Austin too, but this is like something I've hosted 3 cocktail parties, and he's so scientific about building relationships. That's why I love this book, is because he's experimented hosting hundreds of parties and one-on-one coffees. But he's like, what's the best way to build big relationships like in a short amount of time? And with this 15-person cocktail party, little formula, 2-hour formula, I loved it. I loved it so much. So I'd check that book out for sure. And you never know when it can come in handy for business, right?
So, I love it. Yeah. So 75 Hard, David Goggins, you know, those are kind of newer. Could have expected those maybe. The 2-hour cocktail party thing, I wrote that one down. I'm going to go buy that book because that's, you know, I don't know, you know, I can't really imagine a more relationship-based business than real estate, dealing with sellers, buyers, meeting of the minds, really trying to get on the same page. And networking, like I know Patrick, if he's able to go connect with other investors and buy their product by putting together these kind of events, like it's going to be like a really good thing for his business. So,
agreed.
You know, I think outside of the motivational things, focusing on relationships, that's a great recommendation.
Agreed. I think that's probably, that's my 3 books. I would say podcasts, selfish. I mean, I plugged it. I got to plug the DealMachine Real Estate Investing podcast. Is what I'm focusing on multiple times per week. But you know, back in the day, I definitely listened to the Bigger Pockets podcast. Very influential for me. And then
do you have any that you listen to that are like not financial or self-help or anything related? Like something, what's that random thing that you're listening to at the gym or something to just get your mind off of everything?
Oh yeah, dude. Well, I mean, I listened to Gary Vaynerchuk a lot, and I did years before. I'm back again, and I love that. I listened to a couple episodes of the All In podcast, which is like 4 Silicon Valley like venture capitalists talking about the economy and stuff in the world. And I've also listened to Meet Kevin a few times on YouTube. A few resources besides that. I've always never hesitated to hire mentors, not even necessarily in the space that I'm at now, but early on. It was Ramit Sethi. He wrote a book called I Will Teach You to Be Rich. And because of him, I had money to like go double down on real estate and DealMachine when the time was right, even though that's not what the money was being saved for. So that was really impactful for me. And he does have a podcast now. I see clips of it on Instagram. It's pretty freaking awesome, where he talks about, and this is very relevant for anyone listening who's married with a spouse, but maybe they're not on the same page with finances. That's what his whole podcast is about, is like working through these tough conversations with your significant other that involve money, which can be very emotional. And so for the clips I've seen, it's amazing. So that, I think I'll leave that there, I think, with my answer.
Perfect.
What
Love it,
an
David.
amazing answer. You went into detail on that.
Yeah.
James.
Thank you.
Number
So,
3.
Can't wait to hear this one. David, tell us about your future you. Paint us a picture 5 years in the future. Where's your life at, business-wise, personally? Tell us kind of what you envision for yourself.
Okay, well, after 75 hard, I lost 35 pounds, and I've been going for a whole year where I'm so dedicated. I bring my meals on my trips. So that way I come back from the trip feeling incredible, because I like stayed on diet. Right. And so I'm going to end up doing a bodybuilding competition. So that'll be the first thing, like check the box for me. I just did like an open mic night for the first time, never did stand-up comedy before. And so 5 years from now, I feel like I'll be nearing the end of my 30s, but I want to have the same zest for life that I like have now. Right. It's like, I don't want that to be a spurt. I want that to be like pushing me to new levels, and still like always wanting to try new things. And I'm just like loving that aspect, which is kind of new for me right now. Right. So in 5 years, like I want that to still be there. I don't want to get bored in my friendships, relationships, or where I live. And if I am, like, I want to fix it. I want to do something about it. I want to have, so this sounds so dumb, but I just really like goals. And I was talking with the guy who services my Ferrari. That guy is super into real estate investing, although he hasn't done his first deal yet. He's like one of the most active in my comments. His name's AJ. I love that guy. But I was like, hey man, how much does a Ferrari F40 cost? And he knows I've got about $1 million in equity in my real estate. He's like, I think you should get one when you have 10 million in equity. I was like, all right, done. That's my new goal. Is like, I don't even know if that's a good enough reason for it, but it's just like, I like the challenge. I want to see myself inching towards that scoreboard. So I think that's maybe doable in 5 years. I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's doable, and
Like
I think
10x?
it's important to set a reward for yourself to strive towards a goal. And I think on your trajectory, that's something you could definitely check off. What do you think, Patrick?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that 100%. I mean, we've been able to do about 2 million in 3 years. And then once you actually have the funds, it's actually a little bit easier. The snowball starts getting bigger. So I definitely think you'll be able to hit that
It
10 million
compounds.
in
It goes
5
quicker
years.
at the end.
Yeah. I don't feel, one thing that seems like I should be talking about 5 years from now, it's like, oh, I should get married and have kids. I do want to get married and have kids. And that seems like maybe I should think about it by then, but I just still don't feel the pressure to do it. I feel like I like being like my weird quirks, right? Of like packing my meals on my trips. I'm like, what person would actually want to do that and be with somebody who does that, right? But that's like what I'm into right now, is like, I love pushing the limits, and it's just like an experiment, right? It's like, how disciplined can I be? And that's kind of where I'm at right now. So, maybe in 5 years that'll change.
Man, love it. All right. Well, for everyone out there that's listening that wants to reach out, basically tell you, hey, they love the podcast, they learned something from you, they checked out a book, they checked out one of those resources, they got DealMachine and got their first deal, where is the best way for people to follow you and reach out?
Man, I think I've got Instagram. That's like my favorite platform. So I'm Lecko, DLECKO on Instagram. Look forward to connecting with you guys. Send me a DM.
Right. Hey, send them a DM. All right, guys. So you know the drill. If you like this podcast, if you hated this podcast, leave us a review. That's what we're working for here, guys. We're working for your reviews. So go to therealfipodcast.com, leave us a review there, Apple, Google, Spotify. Make sure you're subscribed to YouTube, and we'll catch you next time. See you guys.
See you later,
Peace.
guys.